So I just want to say thank you to talkSTEM for having all of us here today. I think it's a really wonderful opportunity on this very exciting day, which is Pi Day 2.14. And I'm sure there are a lot of people in the audience who don't know who we are, so let's introduce ourselves. We'd like to start and give us a one-liner about you.
I'm Sarah Luan, and I'm a junior at Green Hill School, and I like to take science classes right now. I'm in chemistry and physics right now, and I also like to do a lot of painting outside of school, and I like to write for a newspaper.
Great.
I'm Sonia Dhingra. I'm also a junior at this school, and I was the team lead for the Girls Do STEM Journal. So I got together activities and planned out how it was going to be. And outside of school, I like to do a lot of photography, and I like to also write for a newspaper.
Exciting.
And I'm Anagha. I'm a junior at Green Hill as well. I was a community outreach for the Girls Do STEM Journal. And in my free time, I like to play the French horn, and I like to debate, and I want to pursue a career in STEM.
Great. Well, my name is Kirsten Tulchin-Francis, and I am the director of the Movement Science Lab at Texas Scottish Rite Hospital for Children, and also a professor at Southwestern. And my job is really to understand how kids move and how we can help kids with disabilities move better.
And I'm Julie Mirpuri. I'm a physician scientist at Southwestern. So I spend half of my time taking care of preterm babies in the ICU, and the other half of my time I study gut bacteria in newborns. So let's get right into it. So I'm so excited about this project that you're doing. Can you tell me what inspired you to get into it and how you came up with the idea?
Yeah, so originally Sarah and I got together, and we were thinking, like, obviously there's a problem with girls who don't like science because they don't see themselves in it. So this was to grow their STEM and STEAM mindsets, so science, technology, engineering, art, and math, and sort of see it in their everyday lives. And then obviously all the proceeds from the journal will go to after-school STEM and STEAM programming for underprivileged girls.
Yeah, and I remember when we were first planning our journal, we were like at a bookstore, and we were looking at all the different journals they had like specifically for girls, and none of them really talked about just like fostering STEAM. It was all about just like, oh, like pursue your dreams, but it was just kind of like not really specific towards like STEM careers, and we wanted to do something that would be like that.
How did you get funding for this, and how did you do your outreach?
So we actually created a Kickstarter page towards the end or towards the middle of February, and our goal was to raise $2,200. And actually, within 5 days, we reached our goal, and we've reached about like $500 over. So with those funds, will go through publishing copies of the book.
Yeah. Do you have any questions for us?
So what do you guys love about your jobs?
So I'm not a physician. I have a PhD, and what I love about my job is that I get to work directly with the doctors. So as a medical researcher, I think anybody always wants to see their research make it translational. So go from kind of like the bench to the bedside, and I get to work directly with our patients, and I get to see how they're moving, and then make recommendations to the surgeons or the neurologist about what the best treatments are for those kids. So for me, it's very rewarding because I get to see the outcomes of my research almost every day. And that's really rewarding to me, and it makes me want to go to work every day.
It's funny, Kirsten says that she's not a doctor, she's a PhD, because I always say, well, unfortunately, I'm not a PhD, I'm just a doctor. Because, I trained as a physician and then had to do further training to be able to do what Kirsten was trained to do, which is fascinating. But what do I love about my job? I definitely followed my heart in choosing my career. I love babies. And so I love being able to go and actually see babies. Some of them are sick and we get to help them. And most of the time they get to go home. And so I love that part of it, and talking to the parents. And meeting them after like a few years when they come back, and then, their parents like, that was a doctor that took care of you. It's like heartwarming. But then, I'm a social person, but I have a little antisocial side to me. So I like also going back to my lab, and that's another part that I like. And I like asking questions that I can't answer in the hospital and being able to bring it back to the bench, bedside to bench, and then actually bench to bedside as well. But those are some of the things I love about my job, to name a few. But, it's interesting what you brought up about, girls don't really like science. what do you think is contributing to that? You know, do we only have to influence the girls, or is there also the culture around us, like the parents and other people?
So I actually think like the problem with the culture is that there's like a clear separation between what's STEM and what's not STEM. And I feel like both like parents and teachers play a role in really separating like math and science from liberal arts and humanities. And I think our goal with this journal was to really combine those two and like find like everyday STEAM in the world around us.
Well, I think that's a really great point, and that's what really the IFTHEN initiative is about. So Julie and I are both IFTHEN ambassadors, and the IFTHEN initiative is put together by the American Academy for Advancement of Science, AAAS, we'll just call it that, and Idaho Philanthropies, who's here in Dallas. And the goal really is to promote the STEM careers in women, but more importantly, I think, is they chose 125 ambassadors across a wide variety of careers and fields, because science isn't always math and physics, or math and biology, or math and chemistry, which is I think what we always think about, but it involves fashion, and it involves art, and it involves design. I mean, designing new shoes or designing new fabrics to make clothing out of. There's so much more to STEM than just your kind of traditional science areas.
So what would you say to girls who just don't like math and science classes?
I would say look for it. You know, look for it in ways that inspire you. So what do you like? And I've said this to a number of people. You are born in a phenomenal time. You're much luckier than we are, because we were born at a time where we didn't have that internet. We didn't have access to this. And you know, the people who are watching because of the internet. And so now we are going to be able to tell them how fun it can be. And so my advice would be, think about what you like, and if you have some kind of, maybe inside you do like science, but you can't figure out how to make it fun, go online and search for what you like and add the word science. You might be surprised at what you'd be able to piece together. Like even for Pi Day, I was just looking, you know, on my Twitter feed, and I was very excited to see that the scientist had actually taken a pizza and cut out the rim, and then had lined up 4 pizzas, and then the rim, guess what, extends 3.14 the distance of the pizzas. But you can make it so fun, and you're born, you live in a time where you have access to so many people who can tell you how fun it is. So like, you know, when I was growing up, if you had a boring teacher, you were kind of stuck with that boring teacher, and so then physics or chemistry wasn't fun. But now you have so many teachers outside because you could go and look at the internet. So that would be my advice. How about you, Kirsten?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think the most important thing is to do something you love, right? So for me, I grew up loving sports, and I did like math and science, so it was a pretty easy way to see there's a connection there. But in all honesty, it doesn't matter what you love to do, there's always science in everything. And like Julie said, it's finding that, especially if you have that inner I kind of like science, but man, I hated that professor or did not enjoy that class. And it gives you a really bad feeling about that field. There's so many resources out there. And I think I always like to encourage girls to go, and anyone really, to go out and shadow somebody in a career. Like if you like cooking, go shadow a chef. Yeah. There's science in cooking and chemistry there. Like there's science everywhere. It's just a matter of finding it, really.
Yeah, and I'd also like to add that it's a cool field to be in.
Yeah.
And I think this ambassadorship is really showing that. So if you go and look at the number of ambassadors, and you know, we had a summit recently where we got to meet them, and everybody is so cool. Mm-hmm. And everybody has other interests besides, you know, and we're not typical scientists. We don't wear white coats, and we're not boring. And we like other things besides that, you know, like I'm a foodie, and I'm sure that you have like a hobby that is very intriguing. So it can be cool, it can be fun, and that's what the message needs to be. So
this is a great tool. Your journal's a great tool to kind of reach out to girls. And you made a comment about the separation between sciences, but also that why is it that girls are just not interested in it? Do you think that it's also, you know, there used to be a lot of stigmatism of scientists are men, and as role models, we really want to reach out to girls in particular and show them what we do. What's the best way for us to reach girls in your age bracket?
I mean, I think to tell first off that, I think a lot of girls from a young age are kind of trained to be very perfectionist, so thinking, just like kind of what our journal does, to tell them it's okay to fail and try new things is probably a big aspect of it.
Yeah. And also just the internet, like you said before. Like, okay, this might be silly, but TikTok has they actually have videos of scientists that reach out to people and they share facts. So you can find it almost anywhere. And the internet really helps with that.
She said TikTok.
Yeah. I think we're gonna have to do a fitness thing or something. I know a little bit about it. Yeah. Well, that's very, very inspiring, I have to say. Do you think we also need to reach out to your parents, or parents in general? Is there a generation that still believes that, certain careers belong to women and certain careers belong to men? Or do you think that at least your parents' generation has kind of already shifted?
Well, I think that my parents are trying to get their, daughters into STEM and STEAM, that they might be kind of scared themselves because they are a little bit scared, intimidated by math and science. So I think that if they find that if you can, rather than just doing specific science experiments at home that might be kind of difficult, they could just find it easily in their everyday activities. Then girls could be used to seeing science around them by the time they go to the classroom as well. So what do you guys like to do outside of work?
You want to go first?
So I have a 6-year-old son, and my family and I love to go outdoors. We like to go biking and go camping, and really just family time, really.
I love to exercise actually, and I only really started doing that for the last 2.5, 3 years. So I go to this Orange Theory, and I've become obsessed with it. I also love to cook, and I love to dance. I actually like to dance with my kids. Sometimes I go out dancing, and I like all the new singers. I like Drake. I like Taylor Swift. So yeah, those are some of the things I like to do. How about you guys? What do you do for fun that's not in school? What's cool these days?
I make a lot of TikToks, but I also really like baking. I started getting into it recently. I just made a few cupcakes last week.
You didn't make any pie for Pie Day?
No, I didn't. I'll make it.
Okay.
Yeah, and also walking my dog. My dog and I love my dog.
I really like to do photography, and then I love to write as well and read. And I also like to play with my dogs, play the piano, hang out with my friends and brothers.
I'm curious, are you a Canon or a Nikon person?
I have a Nikon.
You're a Nikon, because the photographer is Canon or Nikon.
Yeah, and like I mentioned before, I like to play the French horn, and I like to play piano. And also, I actually like to play video games a lot on my computer. It's I kind of just like finding weird things on my computer. It's just yeah.
I used to actually love to play video games as a kid. Yeah. Well, I think we are just about out of time, so I just want to thank you again for being an inspiration, because what you're doing is so important, and I think it really shows that young people can make a difference. And so thank you for pioneering this, and we're going to do everything we can so that young girls also hear about your project. And thank you for involving the IFTHEN ambassadorship.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.